Hey everyone, it's Kim Beegler, owner of Youthful Fiber Farm and Mill, and we are here at home and I am going to skirt some wool in this video. So if you've got fleeces or you're interested in getting fleeces and you want a little help on what you're doing, I am very low stress and no rules and just make it work. So keep watching. If you're new, I talk a lot about wool, owning a wool mill, hand spinning yarn, all of those things. This episode, skirting wool. And if you're coming back, welcome. You all can find me at youthfulfiberfarm.com. I have an audio vlog as well. We have a Patreon community. All the links are in the show notes. So we're going to jump into skirting. I don't have an end video to this, so it's going to just end. But that's where we're at this week. So everybody enjoy some skirting, and I'll see you in a minute. All right, you all, we're here in the mill. I've had this box of wool that came in the mail since March, and I have not opened it because I didn't have time to get to it. And so what was the point in opening it was how I felt, and it was like neatly packed. It was going to keep the moths out, so I just left it that way. So if that's you, if you're with me, let me scroll in and you can see a little bit better close up. This is a Targhee fleece. And I have bought from this ranch before, and the wool was beautiful. It's always touch and go how my machines are going to process it, but I'm feeling pretty good about this as I look at it. Let me pull a nice staple out for you. So this is Targhee wool. Get it in view there for you. And what I am liking about it is that as I open it up, the tips are opening up really easily, and that bodes well for my machine processing it well. And I am not going to be hand processing this. So if for some reason I decide no way, then I'll probably wash it and put it up for sale, because after I wash it is when I'm really going to know how it's going to perform. And I can see some chunks of VM here. So before I even drop the box out, I'm just going to take this big chunk off right here. And Targhee is, and I can see, see some of this, I'm just going to save myself. See how like cotted that is on top, and there's so much VM in there. I think you can see all that VM that's in there. So, you know, probably a neck, and you can see how when I pull it, it really doesn't, I can just tell from that cotting on the top there that will just cause, it will not be pretty going through the carder by the time we get there. So let's go ahead and take this out and we'll just get a better view of it. But I think a lot of it will be great. And this is a big fleece. I can't remember. I'll look at it here in a minute, but it's a large fleece. It is 9 pounds and it is 23 microns. So that's in my happy place. This farm definitely had finer, but I do not want finer. 21 and above is where I am going to be happy. So we're going to open this up a little bit. It's not going to be perfect but let me scroll out a bit and you can see this. So I can, like, as I'm just staring at it, I'm going to pull little bits out. That's just like really heavy and gross, not gross, in like lanolin and stuff. And it's just not going to process out well. So, okay. You know, here's some obvious, really, really heavy mud or poop or whatever it may be, but this fleece is looking really good. As I look at it, I'm quite happy with it. Let me take you over here and you can see what I see here. So before I even open it up, why I open it up if I know that I don't want all that crud. See all that VM in there? So this is probably the neck area. That tends to be where the most VM will fill up. So I'm just going to, rather than like get it all, and it's kind of this whole chunk. So I'm just going to pull it. There's no sense, again, in pulling this part out, you know, just to, the VM will travel. So I'm just going to go over here and do this area too. You can see how not fancy I am about skirting. Just get the job done. Doesn't have to be perfect. There's a lot of fleeces out there in the world, and I know many of you have many of them sitting in your stash, and I'm sure it can be a little bit daunting. I know my wool stash is. So, you know, just get it done. Don't be perfect about it. So I'm just pulling off that kind of big chunk. This is a 9-pound fleece. There's plenty of wool. So, and if you're one person processing at home and you have a fleece, there's probably plenty of wool. So what I'm gonna do now, because this isn't gonna fit in the section, the goal by the end of this summer, and you guys are along for the journey, is for me to get this skirting table area cleaned up, because I really only need probably half of the table I have, but right now you're seeing about 1/3 of it that I have free, and that's ridiculous. So anyway, what I'm gonna do is just go through this. There is VM, it's not horrible, keeping in mind that this is, because it's a finer wool fleece, and I would consider 23 to be a finer wool, it's not going to drop VM along the way. So it's something to keep in mind when you're working with finer fleeces. You know, if I was working with Romney, Shetland, anything like that, I don't get too like put off by VM, because I know, and this really is pretty clean, like the rest of the body of it. It's just those areas where they love to throw hay on each other. Oops, sorry you all. So I'm just gonna go through in small chunks, and we're gonna be patient about it. I'm not gonna make you wait through this whole thing, because it's such a sizable fleece, and it's gonna take me a minute to get through it. But what I'm gonna do, and you can see I don't have it, I've talked about this before, when I skirt, I don't worry about where the head, tail, anything is. I just lay it out. You know, sometimes you can get a fleece that is like perfectly rolled and all of that. And in that case, wonderful to lay it out and to have it that way, but you don't have to do it that way. And so just, again, like, get the job done. So I'm just going through, I kind of open it up, see if there's any like big bits of VM that are really throwing me off, any chunks of fiber that just look different. So this is like a little bit more cotted on the end versus, let's show this chunk. See how that still has that lock formation and then those tips, and this is just like kind of flat and dull on the top. So hopefully you can see that. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this away and keep this. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. As I'm going through, I'm getting rid of the stuff that I don't think is gonna process well. And this will go to somebody in town who uses it for mulch, all my waste stuff. So it doesn't get wasted, which makes it easier to throw away. She swears by it for the mulch in her, like for mulching her garden on top to keep weeds low. And I can imagine that, yes. And it also does, you know, it'll help keep moisture. You know, if you're watering under, the water gets through underneath, it'll help keep the moisture down there. So anyway, it's nice to know that the wool that I don't use, it will be passed on. And even at the mill, the wool that is, generally speaking, if it's like if it goes through my vacuum system, I'll call that waste wool, and people will use it for all the same reasons. I've had somebody use it to insulate a bee box. So there's just different ways to use it. Here's a nice big chunk of VM. My stomach is growling. I don't think you'll get that, but so I am generous when it comes to throwing wool out, because there is more, and because I know how my machines are going to process. So I will get rid of, and keeping in mind that this is like a whole fleece. There's belly in here. There's all sorts of stuff. So some parts you're gonna feel like, oh my gosh, I'm throwing so much out. Other parts you're just gonna look at and not have to throw anything out. So just keep that in mind. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and keep working through this. So you'll see I'm just gonna open up the next chunk. I just work in chunks, especially with a bigger fleece. It kind of feels less daunting. And I'm just looking to see, can I open up the tips okay? Is there any big, like there's a piece of poo there? Anything I don't want going into the machines. There's not a lot of second cuts, which is nice, especially on a fine wool fleece, because that will equal pills. So we'll just keep going through this. And of course, what I'm also doing on doing this is I'm opening things up, which just allows anything on the bottom that needs to drop out, it can. So, okay, you all, I am going to continue with this process, and I will cold soak this fleece, because it's a fine wool. It's going to be a little bit harder to get grease and dirt out of. So just cold soaking it'll give it a 1-up for me. And then we'll head to the washer with it. All right, there is my waste pile from that. And so I may have tossed almost half that fleece, maybe a third of it. So, you know, that's okay. That's how, you know, I kind of anticipate that, especially when I'm buying, these were more bread for dual purpose, but meat. So anyway, I'm happy with it. That will go into a compost pile or for, using for mulch. And I wanted to show you one more fleece. This is what is this? Corriedale Romney fleece. I think I bought 2 Corriedale Romney fleeces, or maybe actually one of them is a Columbia something. I can't remember, but let's take a peek at this. I wanted to look at this. Can you see how gorgeous that is? Again, I bought this one at Black Sheep. Obviously you can see why. This is the cut side. The other side is not always going to be quite so perfect, but this is a pretty sizable fleece too. So let's open. This is actually folded up pretty lovely. There does not look like I'm going to have to do much skirting to this fleece. Let me pull you back. As I open it up, the only part I may take out here is belly wool, but I don't even see any VM in this. That is worth my time pulling. And let me pull here's a staple for you. Really beautiful, nice luster to it. Super clean. I probably will cold soak this again because it's just a little bit crusty. I assume this is a Pacific Northwest fleece. A little bit crusty just from mud and stuff. So I'm going to pull it apart a little bit just so when I go to cold soak it, it is a little easier to pull in and out of the bucket. But honestly, there is not anything here for me to skirt that I'm seeing so far, which is lovely. Mostly I just wanted you to appreciate this fleece. And, you know, mixed breeds are wonderful to work with because, you know, sometimes something might be a little bit more difficult if you can get some fine wool crosses. Romney is always a great addition to a fine wool because, look at how pretty that is on that cut side though. Because it will tame it down a little bit, right? They are less high in lanolin. They're less prone to felting and things like that. So if bred well, it can really make for a nice, and you can see how I am not the most gentle with my wool. Wool is tough stuff, y'all. So anyway, that's where we're at today. Let me take you, I'm gonna finish this fleece, but I'll let you see what I'm talking about here with too much. I don't know if it's too much wool, but it's a very long table and there's quite a bit of wool. Actually on the end here are a couple fleeces I am not going to use. I'm going to get rid of, but you can see all that wool. And guess what? More wool underneath. It actually is organized. Most of what's underneath is border luster, but I would like to get through that too. And like this says salvageable long Shetland. There's some alpaca in there and different things. So my goal is to get this organized and into bins and not in my husband's way anymore. Hurrah. Okay, let's do a spin a little bit and say goodbye. All right, you all, this is the last fleece that I'm skirting today, and I just wanted to show you because I just love it. Different than what I have been skirting, but this is Targhee. This is one of our Shetlands. This fleece would have been shorn in March. I think early March is when we shore. These are our ones that we shore just once a year. She's getting a little older, so she's starting to pump out a little bit less wool as far as length. Although I say that and look at that. She's just got this really beautiful, and she's an older girl. She's probably 10 or so now. She always just puts out this stunning fleece, and it's why I got her in the first place. We did not breed her. We bought her, and her fleece was laying out on the shepherd's table. They were sizing down their farm. They were not going to do Shetlands any longer, and this fleece was there, and I was like, I will take that one. And she'd won a ribbon, probably at the state fair or something like that. So she just still at her ripe old age, she was the best mama we had as far as every year. Look at these big chunks. So that will go. I can't really ship, but this is definitely like britch wool. It just feels a little bit, it's got some crusty to it. Here's some other britch wool. You can see how that just looks a little bit different. I won't get rid of all of it. Sometimes with the Shetlands, I can use their britch wool. It's not as bad, but, and here's another chunk I will get rid of. This was probably, I would guess this is neck. And so I won't get rid of all of it, and the Shetlands will drop off a lot more VM. Of course, as I've said before, that doesn't mean we send stuff to a mill to be processed with a bunch of VM in it, but because I'm the mill owner, I am willing to put up with a little bit more. And I know by the time I get to the carder, a lot of this will be gone because that's just the nature. I mean, just look at that wool. Isn't that gorgeous? So anyway, I just thought I'd show you just because I love her fleece. It's not the finest. I might blend this one with some alpaca, but it just creates a stunning color once it's spun up. It has that kind of blue gray to it. So anyway, that's the last one I'm doing. I'm gonna go finish my coffee, and I've got an appointment midday I've got to get to, but I did make a dent. We got through, well, I guess only 3 fleeces, but still, that's a dent. And these will all go into my studio, into bins, and they will not be sitting here weighing over me anymore. Okay, now we're moving on.